There's a view of India that is all mystics and meditation. But if a man reaches the heart of his own religion, said Gandhi, he has reached the heart of the others too. Some of the mystics are modern enough, like Swami Chidananda, president of the Divine Life Society and one of the leading saints of Hindu India. At Palam Airport in Delhi, I met him on his way from Rishikesh to Calcutta to begin his tour of Divine Life Society centers all over the country. He offered his prayers and blessings, indifferent to the din of a modern airport, the gentle words of compassion often drowned in the roar of jet engines. Dressed in the saffron robe of a Swami, the highest order of the Hindu religion, his slight ascetic figure seemed incongruous in this world of hectic technology. Swami Chidananda is now a public figure as well as a saint, and he accepts the demands of his public presence in the same way that he accepts his spiritual calling. There's much in his appearance and manner to remind one of Mahatma Gandhi. On the banks of the Ganges at Rishikesh, I have seen Swami Chidananda at his morning meditation. Rishikesh is a tiny town in Uttar Pradesh, in the foothills of the Himalayas. Sunrise ends the hour of meditation. Those who practice yoga consider it auspicious to meditate by the Ganges, the sacred river of India. To meditate, to apply thought force consciously, to achieve harmony both within and without, to obtain control over the mind and the emotions, and thus to open the faculty of intuition. Rishikesh lies in that area of the Ganges called Devaloka, the home of the gods, which stretches several hundred miles from Haridwar up into the Himalayas. And in India, each serious spiritual person will eventually make his way there, as Swami Chidananda did 25 years ago. At the age of 22, Sridhar Rao, as he then was, graduated from the University of Madras. The son of rich parents, that brilliant scholar might have been one of the elite of society. Instead, he chose to tread the path of austerity. The center of Swami Chidananda's community, although he would say it is only a physical home, is the ashram at Rishikesh, distinguished by the twin towers of a temple and a shrine to the founder of the Divine Life Society, Swami Shivananda. An ashram is really a Hindu monastery, but people who are not members come to Swami Chidananda with their own personal problems for advice and comfort with bad coughs and bad consciences. Sometimes they wish only to touch him, but Chidananda does not claim spiritual power. If a man wishes to believe, he says, let him feel free to do so. The real meaning of an ashram is a place to live, the place of one's guru, one's own spiritual teacher. Serve, love, meditate, realize. The Divine Life Society was founded here in 1936 by Swami Chidananda. And there's a monument which stands outside the ashram at Rishikesh to commemorate his life. Swami Chidananda, hailed as the prophet of a new age for his inestimable services in the cause of raising the moral and spiritual standard of modern mankind. Serve, love, meditate, realize. The four corners of his belief. Be kind, be compassionate.
In our great culture, in the Hindu view of life, all the stages of an individual's life were meant to be progressive stages of gradual ascending spiritual unfoldment, ultimately culminating in sannyas, the whole soul dedication to God's quest alone.
Each morning in the prayer hall of the ashram, Chidananda talks to visitors and ashramites, often in English, the only language in common among the many Indian people as well as the foreigners.
Ashram, the second stage.
Part of the discourse I listened to was addressed to one of his younger visitors, who had just reached his 21st birthday.
For the service of all humanity.
He talked of the four stages of Hindu life: the student, the householder, the recluse, and the final renunciate. Soon, he said, you will become a son-in-law and enter into the second stage of life, that of a householder. You must not consider this a stage of bondage, as many do. In the Hindu view of life, this second stage will provide you with a field for the service of all humanity.
And the helping of all mankind. Om Sharavana Bhava Sharavana Bhava Sharavana Bhava Pahi Mam Subramanya 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 Rakshama.
An ashram is a place to which people will come to devote their time to spiritual pursuits, each according to what he or she finds most beneficial. As in Hindu philosophy, there is no dogma, no compulsory discipline. Each person comes or goes of his own free will. At the end of each session, the Swami receives arati, the sacred flame, all-consuming, all-transforming. And each disciple in turn pays his homage. The Hindu way of greeting a Swami is to touch or kiss his feet, and Chidananda always returns this gesture. Who am I, he has said, that people should prostrate before me? Disciples and devotees, high society and the lowly, they all come. There are no distinctions for this unusual man. I took my turn with the rest and paid my homage. I, a Muslim. In India, I never had to distinguish between Muslim and Hindu. And in the mind of Swami Chidananda, there are no words like distinction and partition. The day I paid my homage to Chidananda, they were decorating the temple of the ashram for the ceremony of Shivratri, the birthday of Shiva, one of the gods of the Hindu Trinity. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the creator, preserver, the destroyer, or rather the recreator. All day long they chanted Om Namah Shivaya, hail the name of Shiva. In the evening, the worshippers gathered on the veranda in front of the temple to continue the chant. and to take part in one of the 4 complete ceremonies or pujas which would go on until sunrise. First, the purification by fire and the arrival of Swami Chidananda for the second of the 4 long ceremonies. The point of a puja is that God is considered to be an honored guest who is present in the object of worship. This time, the god is Shiva. The first act is to summon the divine presence into the object of worship, the lingam, an elliptical stone shape symbolizing neither beginning nor end, but eternity. The guest is refreshed, bathed in water from the Ganges, and offered food: milk, curds, honey, mixtures of bananas, sugar, coconut, rice. Any mixture, in fact, of tasty and costly ingredients. The food is then drained off into pots and committed to the Ganges, and the grease is washed away by water, while the people continue their chant, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. The lingam is decorated with sandalwood paste and kumkum, a red powder to protect against evil, the same powder that Hindu people will smear across their foreheads or chests. It was the hour of midnight, and we had not yet completed the second of the 4 sessions. All this ritual would be repeated twice more before sunrise. Finally, the lingam is garlanded with bay leaves, and the dressing reaches its climax, symbolizing God in all his glory. For me, this was a ritual of faith far removed from my own, which detests worship of idols. But I had never had the need to question the practices of Hindus, neither as a child nor as a grown man returning now to Rishikesh. These practices made up the faith of a man I too had come to recognize as a saint who had reached the heart of his own religion, and by so doing, as Gandhi said, had reached the heart of the others too. At the celebrations of the birthday of Shiva, I had witnessed some of the practices of Hindu faith. Now I saw Swami Chidananda taking 2 men through their degrees of evolution. First, a young man graduating from his brahmacharya, or period of studentship. He would not pass through the 2nd stage of a householder, but would go on from his brahmacharya to the 3rd stage of a recluse. He made his declaration of intent and received the yellow cloth which marks the halfway stage to the saffron, marking the final stage of renunciation, that of a Swami. Beside the effigy of his own guru, his spiritual teacher, Chidananda himself performed this ceremony. He is now guru to them all.